Well, a very warm welcome to our Goldmine show. This week we are absolutely excited just to come back again, and today's show is an amazing show. I mean, the reason why we do the Goldmine is to keep reminding every one of us that there is gold inside of every single one of us, and the battle to bring it through and to win on that battle is one of those that you cannot quit on. Today's show is dedicated to our next generation. It is dedicated to the youth of this nation, whether in the primary schools or in the high schools, all the way to colleges and universities, because I've got an amazing panel of guests who have invested a lot of their time interacting with a younger population. To all of you parents, man, you need to watch this. To all of you young guys, you need to tune up, because then this is going to be an amazing one, because we see the gold in our youth. Africa's biggest asset is actually the youthful population that we've got, but we've got to mine this gold in every single one of them. Allow me just to introduce my guest. To my extreme right, man, he's a man who needs absolutely no introduction.
You can't say that, man.
Njugush, man, it's even difficult to interview you.
No.
Yeah?
No. I'm just, the guy next door.
We've got the founder and the director of Kubamba.
Yes, co-founder.
The co-founder.
Yeah. It's me and Mose.
It's you and DJ Mo.
Yes.
And a big shout out to DJ Mo as well.
Yes,
DJ Mo, man, big shout out to you.
Yes.
Man, karibu sana, man, Njugush.
Asante, it's a pleasure.
Really good to have you,
It's
man.
an honor being here, and I thank God to see you once again.
Absolutely.
And you have your own show, man. Hey, I'm telling you.
It's good to host you on this show.
It's an honor being hosted.
Thank you. And thank you for the good job that you're doing, man. We're definitely getting, it's Jesus.
Yes.
We're getting down into this one, man.
Yes.
And right next to me, an amazing friend of mine, Mr. Ken Gomeri, the founder of Raise Your Game. And I don't know of a big movement in high schools than Raise Your Game. And I'm so honored that Ken, man, you'd be here.
Thank you.
Good to have you, man.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Asante.
It's good to be here.
It's good to be here.
You see how cool, calm, collected he is.
I'm going to have to learn how to be a cool.
Yeah, you have to be. Yeah.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, the greatest asset that Africa has is its youthful population.
Yes.
Yeah.
And unless we know how to harness it, it remains an asset on paper, but really not seeing the value of it.
Very true.
And the question I want us to address today is just the how we're going to have to bring this through. Njugush, I will start with you, man. You've been heavy.
Let me tell you.
Yes.
Let me start with him. So then I come after.
You want to deflect it?
So no, not deflect it. Yes. At least you are changamke. It's deep. So then after that I will. But I hear you. Let's
Ken, man, you've invested the last many years with the youth. First and foremost, why?
Years.
How many years?
12 years.
12 years.
Yes,
Wow.
being active youth ministry.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me, where did it all begin?
Well, this all began when I was quite young,
Right.
but the explosion of this began 12 years ago.
Right.
I got this burden. I love young people.
Correct.
I was reading an article. They say the African mean age is 16 years.
Right.
It means Africa is young.
Right.
The greatest population in Africa is actually the young people.
Correct.
And these young people are in primary school, high school, and in campus. And that's where my heart is. So
Correct.
12 years has been a journey of 12 different battles, 12 sacrifices, 12 victories.
Right.
And here we are.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it must be very passionate for you, because then you've gone ahead and even gotten the Ministry of Education accreditation
Yeah.
to be within this particular space.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about that.
Well, I don't know how to say that. I think it's just for the grace of God, Your work speaks for you,
Right.
Yeah.
But I can always say that before you get this to the space where I am right now,
Right.
it takes a lot of work in the background in terms of what do you want to accomplish for these young people. Because anyone can want to get into this space, but the how is there, but the why is always the question.
Right.
And I think that's why I'm here.
Right.
For me, it is out of a deep conviction, a deep love, and a deep sense of what will the next generation be able to give back to itself and also remain to influence the next generation. That is the question I have every day I wake up.
Right.
Wow.
So for you, it's generational. Man.
It's generational.
This thing is getting deep.
Yeah,
Njugush.
Hey. Good.
Let's talk. You've also been big in this space.
Yes.
Why?
Wow. First is to say, it's a burden. It's a God-given burden,
Right.
and a vision that God has entrusted us as Kubamba. For us, it's been 20 years.
20 years.
We celebrate, May 26th, 20 years.
Well
of
done,
ministry,
man.
by God's
Well done.
grace
Well
again.
done.
And it's been 20 years of a God story.
Right.
And our story is a people's story that
Right.
God has just sent our way to work alongside
Right.
in reaching the next generation. And so, you know, I don't know how else to put it. You know, if you're not reaching the next generation, any country that does not invest in the youth or does not have a youth does not have a future.
Correct.
And but even more importantly, as Christians, you know, we are contending, you know, for the next generation, so that then, like in Judges, that they'll never be said there are people who grew up who did not know God.
Yep.
And so that's why we're doing what we are doing.
But you know, Njugush, it's
Yes.
interesting for you to say any people that are not investing in the next generation.
Yes.
Let's face our facts today.
Yes.
As parents, we have also become too busy.
Very true.
And I don't know who is raising our children anymore.
Very true. You know, in fact, there was a research that was done,
Yep.
And I know Kent may be privy to this, was today's parent, you know, given the setup that we have,
Yep.
you know, because of the, you know, just everything that they're doing,
Right.
the intentional time they spend, intentional, when I say
Intentional,
intentional, is not when you're in the house and they're in the house,
Right.
but where you take out time and you stay away from your phone, the way you'd go for a golf game with your buddies
Right.
or a coffee date,
Right.
or a hair appointment, is less than a week in a year. Intentional
No,
time.
no.
So, and you can't count when you're dropping, because dropping is not that's duty, you know. You're dropping your kids
Less than a week
less
in
than
a
a week
year.
in a year. Intentional time, where you just closed up everything and it's just you and your daughter, you and your son, and actually communicating, finding out how you're doing, you know, taking them out for, not the one after church, you know, where all of us have gone. It's you and your son, or you and your
Just
daughter.
saying, I want to connect.
Yeah, I want to
I
connect.
want us to invest
Yeah,
time.
what are you going through?
Yep.
You know, having this talk, the sex talk,
Right,
you know,
right.
or, and, you know, what do you want to become in life,
Right.
you know, or what's not working, what can we do better as a family? So people don't have that intentional time. So it's unfortunate. But thanks to, you know, Corona, people are stuck in the houses. So, but because they were never equipped for it, it has also caused more problems.
Yeah, and,
than
and I'll come down to the
Yes.
challenge that is
Yes.
Corona, because
Yes.
then if we are spending 1 out of 52 weeks together,
Yes.
then we are a little more than strangers.
Very
I
true.
mean, in fact, I think we are strangers.
Yeah.
Ken, it's very possible that then you're strangers to your own children in that case.
Yeah, that's very true. Because, you know, kids don't grow up in my generation.
Right.
You know, in the previous generation, the parents were home. The standard family procedure was home was where everything was founded. But right now, with the explosion of social media, the explosion of, you know, kids aspirational.
Right.
They want to aspire to become anything.
Right.
So once a teenager hits a certain stage,
Right.
you as a parent, you stop becoming their mentor. Now their mentor becomes the icon they aspire to become.
Right.
So they'll go out and do anything to become like the person they aspire to become.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Njugush, just coming back to that question
Yes.
of how much time they spend. The fact that then we are not connecting with our children
Yes.
must then have brought out many other issues that you guys see
Yes.
as you're dealing with these children in schools.
Yes.
What are some of those things that you see?
I think one is identity.
Right.
You know, that the kids don't know who they really are, so
Correct.
they're trying to find their identity in different things.
Right.
You know, and one thing, even as we were talking with Ken earlier, is what do we say? Belonging, or just they want to feel loved, or they belong somewhere. Someone cares for them.
Right.
And because you're too busy doing it, they're trying to get attention. You know,
Validation.
That's the word we're looking
The
at. There we go.
validation,
Validation.
yes.
They want to be validated.
Right.
All right. And so they look for their validation in different things, and in the process, it messes up their identity.
Correct.
Okay. Because where they go, it's shifting. You know, it's social media. Today, this is a trend.
Yeah.
They find validation in that. Tomorrow, it's this. So they don't have that validation from where it should really come from, the parent who speaks to the daughter or the son. And so it's that place where, as I said, they are going through so much: daddy issues, mommy issues,
Right.
identity issues. You know, their worldview is messed up just because there are so many things. And just to piggyback on what Ken had said earlier, a long time ago there were no options. It was one TV station. Nothing was coming into the home other than that TV and
Right.
radio. So
Right.
if those things were shut,
Correct.
there is nothing else. You know, your home, breakfast, lunch.
And it was starting when I was growing up,
Yeah.
and they used to open the TV at about 4
At
p.m.
4.
Yes.
And no one to you if you put on the TV before, because your father would come and put on the hand like this if it was hot.
If it is warm, like he knows.
Yeah. There is war.
Or some of them may not understand that we live in those kind of days.
And then we are loyal.
Right.
You know, when your father tells you this, you don't question.
Correct.
You know, if they told you this is the way, you follow without
Straight and
question.
narrow.
Yeah.
No division to the right or the left.
You tell your child, they'll ask you why. Who
Yeah.
said?
Yeah. Let's have a conversation
Is
about
that the
everything.
only one? Yeah, let's
Right.
talk about it.
Correct.
Where? Hey. Anyway, so those are some of the challenges today. Yes.
And talents that even their parents don't even know about.
Yeah, because let me tell you something.
Yep.
And this is what eats me. It may sound controversial to some people, but we have raised a generation that is feeding from the broken down American civilization.
Right.
The black civilization, which is Tupac Shakur came globalized rap. Now rap became the in thing. You know, kids love what is trending. Oh my God, it's trending, it's trending, it's trending. Now we have taken cultures and subcultures from the broken civilization from these guys who came and media gave them this explosion.
Right.
Now every kid in Africa wants to be a rapper.
Right.
Now it looks like we are consuming so much that is on media, whether it's foolish or intelligent.
Right.
So we are raising more substandard people who want to be famous because of that culture that they've seen on TV.
Right.
Now we are losing the aspect of, can we sit down and interrogate what are we going to become? Yes, I can become a rapper, but I can become an intelligent rapper.
Right.
So we are, the broken black civilization that came to us has really caused us a big fallback in this young generation, because every kid right now wants to become what they saw without interrogating, what is this that I'm seeing and how can it benefit my life? What is the long-term repercussion? Where am I going with this? Is it going to change my life, change people's life? What am I going to become? Yep.
But isn't it also then a function of the fact that no one is holding their hand per se? I mean, the people who are meant to hold their hands are not present.
Very true, very true. And, we are, and I thank God for what you're doing here. I don't know if you're in the same age group, but we've just borrowed the world from these kids. So when we give it back to them, what will it
If you
be?
used to watch TV at 4 o'clock, most likely we are from the same.
But it's one of those things where we need to pay forward.
Right.
We need to mentor, we need to work with. We are who we are because our parents walked with us.
Yeah.
They were there to show you how to dig. When you go to the shamba, all of you went to the shamba.
Right.
There was no that you let the house help go. It was all of you.
Right.
If it is washing clothes, all of you used to be out there. Osha Zako. Not that there was no house help, but our parents taught us. They showed us the way. We saw what our fathers did and our mothers did, and we did. And so there was active mentorship. Again, time was not pressed. There was no 3 masters programs, traffic.
Right.
The parents were present.
Correct.
And even the house helps then were not just house helps. There were people who they were part of the family.
Correct.
Not someone you pick from the house bureau, a bureau somewhere, and they come and, it's just they're there to do the job, to be seen and not to be heard. But then, our parents invested even in the house helps. They became part of the family because they were part of the bringing or the upbringing of the children. And so it's a challenge to all of us, and not just us who are, those who are parents, but even those who are not. How do you mentor someone else?
Right.
How do you give and that's why I love what Raise Your Game does. How you empowering, equipping, mentoring this young or the next generation.
Right.
Yes.
Can I still believe, even as you do Raise Your Game, I want to believe that your average parent, and every parent out there, desires the best for their children.
Yes.
I would want to function that's a bottom line.
Yes.
And there could be challenges in execution and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, they want to see greatness in their children. They want to bring out that greatness. Yeah. But of course, I think I also see a lot of children saying, my mother does not understand me, my father does not understand me. The parent is also saying, I also don't understand the children. How do we help to build this divide? So that then ultimately, this promise and the gem of the youthful population we have ultimately comes true.
I'll pick up what Njugush is saying.
Right.
One long time ago, mentorship was by default.
Correct.
But right now, mentorship must be intentional.
Very
correct.
true.
Intentional.
You've got to make time for it.
Yes, because even to the young guys,
Right.
and I know this show is all about being great.
Correct.
I was just having a conversation with him and I was telling him,
Yep.
everyone wants to be great.
Right.
Even the person who is sleeping
Correct.
wants to be great. But you see, greatness it's a byproduct of things.
Right.
There is a journey to greatness.
Right.
And I think that's the conversation. People don't want to have an honest conversation about the journey.
Right.
We talk about Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison.
Right.
It's a journey.
Right.
It is 27 years in prison, doing what in prison? Not sitting down.
Correct.
There was some activity behind.
Right.
So for the parent right now watching and says, I desire the best for my kid,
Right.
you must be intentional. And I'll
Correct.
give 2 examples.
Yes.
Number 1,
Yep.
I'm involved in a lot of mentorship of some of our top schools in the country.
Right.
Where I come in, I am not just coming as a one-time motivational speaker.
Right.
I walk with them the whole year.
The whole journey.
Yes. I talk to them from January to December. By
Correct.
the time they're doing exams,
Right.
I have cultured them to think, how do I position myself for
Correct,
the exam?
correct.
How do I read for the exam? And what am I going to do after the exam? So it's a journey. You know, mentorship is a journey. So one, parents must be intentional. You can't just tell your kid, be like the other person. Be intentional. These kids, so much is fighting for their attention.
Right.
You know, their friends are fighting for their attention. Media is fighting for their attention. So one, you must be intentional. The second thing, see, a space like Raise Your Game or what Kubamba is doing, it's an intentional venture. Like, you know, I sat down and I said, okay, who will speak to them?
Right.
Let's come up with something calling ourselves a ship. That in this ship we can tell, hey, you jump on board, let's sail together. Probably we can get to the other side, which is the promised land. So the second thing and the second example I want to give is you can't build without a plan.
Right.
You can't build without a plan. And that's what many parents are doing. Like right now, kids are home and we have left them just because they have food and they have electricity. Now they can survive.
And they have Wi-Fi.
And Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Put them into Zoom classes. Find people who can have a conversation with them. Find a way. Sometimes, and I'll say this, and I know some parents call me together.
Right.
These parents are some of the top parents in this country. They
Right.
brought their children together,
Right.
and they told me, you know what, you have to have conversation with them on this basis,
Right.
on a weekly basis.
Right.
We're gonna facilitate it. We're gonna pay for it. We want
Right.
you to talk to them.
Correct.
And as we have this conversation, the questions these kids are asking, it's a picture of the entire questions every kid is asking across the entire country. So what's next? Where are we going with all this? What will become of me? Because the uncertainties levels in the country are so high.
Yep.
You know, you've told kids you have 6 months at home. They've never been at
They
home
don't
for
even
6
know how to
months.
deal with 6 months of not doing anything.
They're now
They've
stuck.
lost the whole year.
You're
Yeah.
telling them they repeat the same class. So
Yes.
I'm saying I'll not read because next year I'll still read for that class.
Right.
So there's a lot of uncertainty.
Correct.
And if you don't have someone who can debrief them
Right.
from these uncertainties, then they get to that state of confusion.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just want to stay on that because they're used to a program.
Yeah.
Today they don't have a program.
Yeah.
And they will not have one for many months to come.
Yes.
How do we then deal with these moments?
I'll tell you for sure.
And by the way, even as you answered, I think it's anxiety for the children and it's also anxiety for the parents.
yes,
as
I
well.
want even to start with myself.
Right.
I think what gives a man purpose is your work.
Correct.
When you wake up to no work, you can die as a man.
Right.
You know, you're waking up, but you don't know, you're dressing, going nowhere.
Yeah.
I would wake up, shower, and dress. Now I'm going to meet Njugush.
Yeah.
You know, and it's work.
Yes.
But right now we are waking up to nothing.
Right.
You're waking up, you're wondering, you're so bored, you're so empty.
Right.
And I can imagine what the kids are going through.
Right.
They're waking up to nothing.
Right.
And as we had the conversation, I said the biggest calamity right now is they are fighting boredom.
Right.
They're trying to find anything.
Right.
By then, let me tell you something. Boredom is the most expensive thing in the world.
Right.
You will find anything to fill that gap.
Correct.
And as now we're in this space where we're trying to fight boredom, kids don't have the right, you know, a teenager is a mature adult, actually a young adult with mature emotions. So they're trying to find mature things for mature people to fit in their kiddish mind. So they are getting too much, too fast, and it's a complication.
And it's all filled up.
It's all filled up. So kids are trying, you know, that's why we are hearing the pregnancy rates are going too high because they have mature emotions on young bodies. So
Yep.
they are going for the sex, which is not for them
Yep.
because you can't deny them because they're young, they don't have feelings.
Right. But Ken, tell me, I mean, in a lot of your engagements, there must be things that shatter your heart completely as you see these things.
Yeah.
And probably some of the struggles that our young people go through. What would you rate some of these to be?
Some of the things that break my heart, especially with my generation and the young people as I interact with them, Dennis is settling for less.
Right.
And I think it's a big thing. Let me start by saying this, and I think this is a societal problem.
Right.
Where we have the space for the wise has been substantially minimized, that it's even rare to be wise in our generation now, because we are celebrating a lot of foolishness.
Please talk.
Yeah, you know.
And unpack that up.
Yes, I had a preacher
Yes,
saying
yes,
that
yes.
foolishness in an office,
Yes.
someone must occupy it. So we have replaced intelligent things
Right.
and intelligent living and wisdom with so much foolishness that even our level of celebrating foolishness has now been heightened. You get in a level whereby even the memes
Right.
that we put around,
Right.
that people have no decorum, no respect for things. Anything today can become a laughable thing.
Right.
And that one makes us become shallow thinkers.
So as a generation, we've sunk low.
Yeah, we are shallow thinkers. So
Right.
we can't come out with intelligence when TD Jakes says we've replaced our top thinkers with our top tweeters.
Wow.
It is unfamiliar to be wise in this generation.
Right.
That you have to be foolish. Even the kind of music we are celebrating,
Right.
it's not about the kind of beat or music we are singing. Music is so much, okay, beat and that is another story.
Yep.
But where we can hear what you're saying,
Right.
we don't see wisdom in music, so we can't celebrate the tune because the tune becomes foolish like the lyrics.
Right.
So one of the things is that young people have settled for a smaller way of thinking, smaller way of doing things, which has brought an erosion
Right.
to all things. Now
Right.
we can easily celebrate being high. YOLO.
Yeah.
You only live once.
Yeah.
YOLO can take you through a weekend,
Right.
but YOLO can't guarantee you a destiny.
Right.
Now, because we become small in thinking, we become foolish in our ideologies. Now we've picked up smaller subcultures of life as standards. Now drugs have become, I'm telling you, I went to this school. And this boy just came to me and told me, look at my face, my face. I looked at him and said, what do you see? And I said, you're the most innocent face I've ever seen. Then he says, look again. Then I looked closely, he had a cut here. So I asked the boy, what's the cut about? He says, I'm the drug lord in this school. And yesterday, the guy who gives me drugs, Alini Chapa, the guy hit me. I asked him why, because the sales didn't go well. And he said, I'm not doing my job. And I looked at this boy and I
Is
asked,
this in a high school?
yeah, it's an high school.
Oh,
And you know what? I took the opportunity.
Right.
And when I put everyone in the hall and I said, let's talk about this. And I'm telling you, the amount of drugs that was brought
In
when
the
I was
school?
speaking, yeah, they had to go and bring, because I talked to them as men. Talk to them as boys. They tell me, you know what?
Yep.
You've started on a wrong culture.
Right.
There's no you're going with
Right.
this. There's
Right.
nothing you shall become.
Right.
And the boys started walking out of the hall. They went and brought all the drugs, brought them to my feet, and we were there and we talked about saying, no one is going to crucify you. We just
Right.
want to be real with one another.
Right.
And I saw this, it's coming because of this celebrating small minds, small things. Now we don't have wisdom as a standard.
Yeah.
Now we have foolishness as an office.
But let's talk about that a bit,
Yes.
Njugush. I mean, talking straight, just going back to that school, talking straight. Number one, as parents, are we even modeling what we want to see? Are we clear about it? And are we still able to hold these honest discussions?
Yes. As I said, because of the challenges we have today
Yeah.
of parents being absent,
Right.
our kids are being parented by our TVs,
Right.
being parented by, what they hear,
Right.
and unfortunately, perception becomes the new reality for
Right.
them. So
Right.
if they perceive this is how then a good father should be, because he drinks
Yep.
or whatever, they
Right.
will do it. When
Right.
they see what they see on social media,
Right.
they perceive this is what is cool, then that's what they will do. That becomes their reality. And so we have a, how do I put it? We have a part to play in all this, in as parents saying, you know what, our kids are watching. As I said, kids are they are sponge.
Yep.
You may not know they are getting it,
Yep.
but they are watching
Yep.
every move you make, how
Yep.
you talk, how you treat your wife or their mother,
Yep.
or how you treat, and in the case, you're a single parent, who you bring in all the time. Are you sleeping home? Are you not? How you treat the house help. So all these things,
And you see,
kids
it's
are
important
very.
what you're saying, Njugush,
Yes.
because if you can't model it,
Yes,
then you can't expect it from your children.
exactly.
And most likely they'll hear the voice of what you do.
Exactly.
And what you model, not
Yes.
even what you say.
Yes. So, and that's it. When they say actions speak louder,
Correct.
you could say one thing, but your actions is what your kid will model.
Right.
And so you'll always find, and even when you look at yourself, there are things and how you stand or how you do is because you saw your father or mother do something. And so it's important how we do all these things. How you treat the watchman is how the person will treat the watchman tomorrow when they're in school.
Correct.
how you treat strangers,
Yep.
you know. And so in all these things, we need to be able to model. And if we can't, all right, how then do we intentionally, all right, involve people who can come
That
and
can
walk
help.
with my child?
Correct.
Because, I mean, parents are going through, others are broken,
Right.
all right? And, you know, and to be fair to parents and anyone who could be watching,
Yep.
we need to equip parents, because some parents are broken, they're hurting,
Right.
they've carried some wounds from,
Right.
and baggage from, you know, when
Right.
maybe they were abused or whatever happened in
Right.
life, and they walked in with that to their marriage and into their parenting. And so they also need help.
Right.
And so it's good even as a parent to get to that place and say, you know what, I can't be the best parent and I need help.
I need help.
All right.
Yep.
And you can reach out.
And acknowledging that I need help is not a sign of failure.
No, no.
In fact, it is your pathway.
It's a point of strength that's saying,
Correct.
you know what, I acknowledge.
Right.
All right. And because I don't want my child to live the life I've lived,
Yes.
then I need to take myself out of the equation.
We take a different turning.
Get help.
Yes.
But even as that,
Yep.
you say, who are the people who can come in? Which programs are there
Yep.
that I can be able to
Correct.
enroll my child?
Right.
You know, is
Right.
it a role model anchor?
Right.
Because yes, I'm facing an addiction.
Yep.
And then you're able to say, you know what, hey, you need to make sure, keep me accountable. I
Right.
cannot come home like this.
Yes.
You know, my child cannot afford to see me like
Correct.
this. And so on and so forth.
So there's a sense of responsibility
There's a
also as a
sense.
parent.
Exactly.
I must carry.
Exactly.
Carry when these kids.
Because as I finish,
Yes, sorry.
guess
Yeah,
what?
go ahead.
When your child grows up,
Yep.
they'll not be able to forgive you because you did not make the right decisions. They didn't have a choice in the matter.
Yeah.
All right? And you don't want to be in a place where a child carries you know, wounds because of decisions you made and they didn't have a choice in that matter.
They end up inheriting your wounds. as well.
Exactly.
Right.
And so just for that, for the sake of your child and for the next of your, you know, your lineage,
Right.
all right, make decisions not for yourself, but for them.
Correct.
In mind.
Correct.
Yes.
You know, and that's powerful because there's a topic under Man Enough
Yes.
that my good friend Pastor Simon Bevy talks about.
Yes.
He talks about the wounded warrior.
Yes.
And if you're then this wounded parent,
Yes.
then the probability of you wounding your children also
Very
becomes
true.
extremely very,
Exactly.
very high.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Ken, I was just curious. When these kids then say, here are the drugs and all of that, and they come to the porn, and I want us to talk to a constituent that says, I'm in addiction as a young person. It could be to drugs, it could be to any other thing. What is our journey and how do they then get themselves out? Because then they acknowledge, yes, I am, but then what next?
And maybe even as we do that and
Yes.
the addresses,
Right.
sorry to interrupt, what
No.
are some of those things?
Yeah.
Maybe it's to name them,
Yes.
so that then they can categorize themselves. Because
Correct.
others are not in, others is just lying.
Right.
You know, they live in a lie.
Yep.
You know, so it could be different addictions. So
Correct.
some say, okay, me, I'm not in drugs.
Right.
Okay, but guess what? You're in something else. Maybe
Correct.
it's to name those 5,
Yes.
6 things.
Yes.
Maybe
Correct.
that we can name and say these are the things that are taking out this
Because sometimes they
generation.
don't realize it's an issue and it can
Yes,
stand in their way.
exactly,
But there's
exactly.
help available.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I want to start like this. You
Yeah.
know. I started talking about us celebrating a lower standard,
Right.
which has got to us. The moment you start celebrating the lower standard,
Yep.
you get to a point whereby you listen to a song, and because your standards are not higher than the song,
Yeah.
you're going to do and become what the song says.
Right.
So right now, we are singing and we are demeaning the female gender in the songs. So we are promoting sex and sexual kind of content on our music, and it sounds okay. You know, it's the trend and everyone is enjoying. But what we are doing, we are heightening the desires for these kids. So these kids, one, they're struggling with a lot of sexual issues. And I'm telling you, one of the boys don't talk about things. Men die with their mouths closed. Boys get to the end and say, I can't deal with this. Now they reach out. When it's peak,
Yep.
yeah, you can't solve it. So the first thing they're doing with now,
So they're coming almost when it is at the
it's at the peak.
Right.
You know, and some of them did so many things. They're even having sexual transmitted infections. They don't talk about it because
Right.
they feel people will stigmatize them.
Correct.
Now they're reaching out, they're boxing me and saying, you know what, even right now I'm handling a young kid, a Form 2 boy who is out of control when it comes to his sexual orientation. And he didn't know who to talk to, and he feels like now I'm out
Yep.
and it's a peak season.
Right.
I need to reach out.
I
you
need
know?
help.
Yeah, and you know the worst part is involving other kids into his kind of so there's that sexual issue. The second thing is Njugush talk about it is drugs. Drugs are taking us wide and wide and wide. Then the worst part of it all, and Njugush, we need to address this because it is the older siblings that are making the younger siblings feel it's okay. You see, I have a sister in university, I'm in high school, the university sister tells you, let's go out. He's the one who is actually matchmaking you with people. He's saying, I have a beautiful sister. And let me tell you something, the younger sister is watching the older sister, and because of blood and that responsibility, feels like, she's always right, or my older brother is always right. So they're the ones who are actually culturing them into this thing. We've made it okay. We have actually commonized this culture.
Right.
So the younger generation is just picking it up from there. But how do you get out of this? Let me tell you, it's hard to break addictions by yourself.
And
You
maybe
need
I can
someone.
add one more there. Two actually. One is lying.
Yeah.
So you find you're chatting, you're lying, you're living a lie. And so one day you feel the pressure to measure up. You know,
Right.
yeah, I did this, I
Right.
did this.
Right.
And so kids are always lying, creating perceptions.
Yeah.
That's another big one. Another one.
Because of that need for validation. maybe.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
they're just lying and you're creating, you know.
Putting filters.
Yes, putting filters, lying. And so you feel like, you know, you have to say you've actually slept with someone for it to feel like. And so for you to measure up, you actually do it too. And the other one is, and it's happening, is crime.
Yeah,
You
crime,
know,
yeah.
kids are getting into crime. There's, I mean, with all that boredom,
Yeah.
I need money.
Yeah.
What do? I steal something from my house. So there's so many other things that are cropping up. Crime, different addictions. And maybe you can now continue. How can they get out of those things?
Yeah.
I was saying it's so hard to get yourself out of addictions and of all these things. The pill, you know, you're sick, you're given some pills. I don't like tablets. I find them bitter. But the sick person needs the pills. The pills are for the sick person.
Right.
And because you're in an addiction, you are sick. No matter how bitter the pills are, you need the pills. It's good just to reach out to someone. Just be open, be naked and ashamed before someone,
Right.
so that you can receive healing. You know, reach out to your local pastor, reach out to your mentor, talk to your parent. Young people, it is not okay to be silent and dying with your issue. Talk to your mom, talk to your dad, reach out to someone.
Talk
There's
to Ken
someone-
as well.
Yeah, talk to me. If you
Yep.
feel like they can't understand you, reach out to me. 0723-977-111. We will share. And if I feel I can't be able to handle it, I have my bigger brother here in Njugush. I have Deno here. I have responsible people in my life. I can say, hey, I can channel it to someone who can handle your issue better. Don't die in silence. Don't think just because your issue has escalated, no one can understand you. Don't think you're too deep that we can't rescue you. Even the Titanic went down, but they had to salvage later. We can salvage you while you're still alive and help you get back on the line.
Right.
Yeah.
Can the parents also call you?
Yeah, the parents, we can also talk.
Yep.
And by the way,
Yeah.
parents, this is chini kabisa. Let's learn to hear out these young people. They just need someone to hear them out. Don't just be a person who says keep giving commands and hear them out. The pressure to be heard is so hard. It's so much that if you don't hear them out, the past person who hears them out becomes their role model. And that man who hears them out and they make them feel comfortable and give them a comfortable space becomes their next influential figure that they will find everything he says important, and they'll actually be drawn to them and they will leave you. So you feel like they left you. They didn't leave you. It's like you didn't listen enough for you to draw them close to
Correct.
you.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Just hear them out.
So we need to step down.
Just step down.
Step down and listen to this
Listen.
guy.
Yeah, the
Very
voltage
true.
is too high
The-
outside her.
We need to manage it.
Yeah, we need to manage it, you know.
Right.
Yes.
And these kids are confused.
Yes.
They are so confused.
Right.
Just hear them out.
Right.
Yeah.
Hear them out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it sounds like there's a hope, guys.
There is hope. There is hope. And maybe mine is to add on to there, even as we continue, it needs a multi-level approach.
Right.
You know, and I'm really praying that God would enable us as Christians to be at the table.
Right.
And this also needs to be at a policy level,
Right.
where we are advising government. How do we create policy that allows us to parent? You know, Vision 2030, and a brilliant vision. All right, different pillars.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Infrastructure, agriculture,
Yeah.
but one of the critical pillars that really needs to be addressed is
Right.
the moral pillar.
Yep.
All right, the moral fabric of this society. So we could build a great nation, but we bequeath it to people who have no character, who have no moral pillar or compass. And guess what? They will corrupt and destroy everything they've been handed over. So we need to be able to say at that level, all right, how do we have, you know, how do we play as Christians? You know, how do we sit at that table and say what policies can we come up
Correct.
with? You know, how do we make sure that, you know, parenting is happening right now? The school is helping. You know, my kids are aware there's someone there's a timetable, discipline master.
Right.
Now you're everything.
Right.
Games master, discipline master, chaplain,
Right.
you're the guitarist,
Right.
you know. So I'm really praying that this multi-level approach
Right.
from, you know, policy level to now being on the ground,
Correct.
that God's people are positioned and
Right.
doing and speaking into that space and acting,
Right.
and so that then a generation can be saved. And as I was sharing with different people and different ministries that we work with, the next 6 months, the next 1 year is warfare. We are in it to contend for the next generation.
Right.
And if we don't see it that way,
Right.
it's not a sprint, it's a race, it's a
Yep.
marathon
Yep.
that we need to get in there. It's warfare. Let's contend, and you don't have time to start. We need each other. We need to
Right.
cover each other.
Correct.
And that's why partnership is very critical
Becomes important.
in winning. Because guess what, man? If we wouldn't have a church, wouldn't have a family, wouldn't have a school to go to. And it breaks my heart to imagine if we don't come together. The schools we are reopening next year we have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, who will not come back for one reason or another. But because we're here, we say it shall not be so in
Correct.
Jesus' name. So I pray that everyone acheze kama yeye.
Kabisa.
Kama wewe Denunez acheza policy level.
Yes.
Bana enda ukae na CS ama on House on the Hill.
Right.
With HE and tell HE bana we need to do these things.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Get some of you may be you be the calf bearer who mentioned Ken to president. This guy can give you the solution. And so the person comes and says, someone else could be watching this is saying, you know what, I have money and I want to invest.
Right.
You guys are doing a great thing.
Right.
Anytime you need data here, okay, do
Correct.
your Zoom, whatever you need.
Right.
So we all have a part to play.
Right.
And my prayer is anyone listening to this is, what's your part in fighting for the next generation?
Right.
How can you support? How can you be that destiny helper or connector in contending for the next generation?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Earlier, just before the conversation, you talked about how many SMSs you're getting every day.
I have received SMSs from across the country, and the shocking part is both some are positive, some are negative. And I should just start right now say, even the guys watching this, if you can reach out to someone, please reach out to someone. Some kids don't even have food in their homes, so they're calling me, would you buy me a book? Would you recommend what should I be doing right now? And the most touching thing is when a mother called me and told me, I got your number from my daughter. They don't have food. So the mother has to let the kid go out, and the kid leaves in the morning, goes to stay with a man until curfew time. Then the daughter comes back. Then the mother says, it got to a point I had to let her go because if she doesn't go, I have nothing to offer.
Wow.
It's very sad.
Heartbreaking.
It's very sad. Njugush,
Yes.
we've got to nurture greatness in all these guys.
Very true.
In your many years of doing this,
Yes.
what's the journey ahead?
Wow. As we're saying, the intentionality. And one of the things that has to happen is partnership. One of the things I've learned in God's agenda and God's idea, for vision to happen, partnership has to happen. Because that way, then you don't take the glory. It's not about a person, it's not an individual. And that's a Kubamba story. It's about people, it's about partnerships with ministry, with individuals to do God's work. That way, Njugush or Mose or Kubamba as an entity cannot take glory in any way. But then it's a coming together of God's people to achieve God's agenda. So for us to bring out the greatness in this next generation requires intentional, again that word as Ken was saying, intentionality, intentional partnerships, intentional investment, intentional complementing one another, because I may not be good in one thing, but hey, I can help. I can give a platform, so I don't have to do everything. Okay, so it's that intentionality of saying, how do we reach the next generation? So it starts first, yes, we have been entrusted with this. Who are the people we need to pray in, okay, to make this happen, so that then we intentionally go in as one to reach out, because everyone has their own strengths. People have been graced differently, and I feel everyone is trying to do their thing in their own corner, and they're doing well. Scripture says one can chase 1,000, but two, 10,000. And so if we come together and the platforms that God has given us and entrusted us, Ken with his this, raise the game, Kubamba with that, and so with this, Njao with his great ideas and energy, and Goldmine show.
But even as we talk about intentionality,
Yes.
what are we missing? Because I'm sure someone watching would say, we're intentional. But it looks like there's something we're missing.
No, it's intentional, is in
Yes.
thought.
Yes.
Okay.
Not in action.
In action.
Yes.
And there's no, as Nani talked about, there's no plan.
Right.
So when you have a plan,
Yeah.
you know, when you have a, you know, like a blueprint,
Right.
then there's something you're working on with a start and an end.
Right.
So even as you're praying intentionally.
Yep.
As you're believing God for particular things.
Yep.
And you're saying, this is where we want to start with these people.
Yep.
This is where we want to end.
Yep.
At this point, I need partner Y.
Yep. Yeah.
At this time, I have to be on the Goldmine show, because at the Goldmine show,
Yeah.
guess what, man? I will target this particular people.
Correct.
So yes, it's a good idea in the head.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
We're intentional in thinking,
Yep.
but not
we've
putting
got
a
to
plan
make it one step forward.
and then move forward.
Correct.
And understand, you know, we may not be able to do and reach everyone, but we need to start.
Right.
You know, we can't keep talking about the same thing over and over. We have to start.
Right.
And the key ingredient, and you know, and I've been talking about, is unity.
Right.
The enemy just makes sure you do your thing there, you do your thing there, but as long as
But
we
never
can't
amounts to become much.
exactly.
Right.
And a recipe for revival and in seeing the next generation reached is unity. And that for me is, you know, and as for Kubamba, is what we're praying for, that we can come together and serve one another, regardless of whose brand is there,
Right.
not caring whose brand appears,
Right.
but saying, can we contend for the next
And I love
generation?
today we have amazing brands. We've got Kubamba brand
you
on the
know.
show, and we've got Raise Your Game as
Exactly.
well, which is great. Arts, skills, talents.
Yes.
How do we nurture these things in our children?
Wow.
One, identify and nurture.
Every person has a abilities are given by God. And when you find your niche, you know, when you find your ability, finding is not enough. The next step is what you've just used that word, nurturing the ability. Too many young guys who are watching and they're listening to us right now, like right now we have a disruption. This is not free time, this is available time. Do you know great men are made out of adversaries? Right now, when
Do you have a pen and paper? You know, these are things you should be
we
writing.
didn't write it.
Anyway, we just continue.
That's why you've got to watch this again.
You know?
We'll keep it on our
Well,
pages.
there we
Right.
go.
yeah, in this time of disruption, when everyone else is concentrating on the disruption, concentrate in building yourself. It is what you do right now with this available time that will speak so much about you when things get back to normal. So how you program yourself, how you take your thing. And I want to say this all due humility in my heart. And to every young person listening to me outside there, invest in your own personal growth. Read a book, find a mentor, speak to someone, find what you want to do and find someone who can improve what you want to do. You can never improve yourself. Messi is a big player, but even Messi is under a team and is also under a coach.
Correct.
So you can be talented,
Yep.
but when you lack the right, you know, support system, you can't build and bring out greatness. Greatness is like a baby.
Right.
You need many people to nurture this baby and bring it out.
Yep.
And sometimes you need Njugush to wash the baby.
Right.
You need Deno here to feed the baby. You
Correct.
need Ken to
Correct.
dress the baby.
Correct.
Then need someone else to oil the baby. When the baby comes out, everyone says that's a cute baby.
Absolutely.
And that is greatness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your final words to the parents watching this.
Parents, kids, I mean, you know, we've been going around telling kids about believe, behave, become. One is believe in God.
Believe,
Believe, behave, become.
behave, become.
You know, you have to believe in God. I mean, because God is your creator. He knows why he created you. So believe in God, believe in yourself. You have all it takes to be great, as you've had my brother share here. Believe in your dream, you know. And after you believe in your dream, then you need to start behaving like your dream requires. What are those things that, you know, what do you need to do? All right, and then becoming is the actual bit of now action and starting that process. So a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And all you have to remember is, as I said, believe in God, because by your own strength, you can't. But if you believe in God, he will empower you. He will, even when you're alone, you know, everyone else, you know, and that's what we're talking about earlier. You know, what wanabadilika? You know, today I say you're the best thing. I like 1,000 likes. Tomorrow I'm trolling you on social media. But guess what? What God thinks about you remains the same. He loves you. He can't love you any less. There's nothing you'll do or not do that will make him not love you any less.
Right.
But even more importantly, that he's the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Right.
And so that's the one person, you know, you can truly trust and believe in. And and then, you know what? He'll make you great. That's my story. And that's our story even as Kubamba. From nothing
Right.
to where God has brought us, it's been a God story.
Amazing.
And so I really pray that anyone watching, that you believe in your children, behave like you'd want them to become, and then actually be that. So let it not just be an idea and have, but actually live it out, so they can see how you love your wife, or how you love their mother rather, and how you respect and honor their father or your husband. And yeah, you model. So I think that's it. I don't know if I have anything else to add. But again, as Kubamba, we have many things that we're doing at the same time. We have TV shows that we're doing, and God has been really given us lots of favor. Right now, we started with 1,000 people. Now we're in the millions of people watching on 2 stations. So every week 4 to 5 on KTN and BTV. Burudani, and guys are watching, and it's exciting just seeing what God is doing.
Please say that again, so that then we know how to watch.
Yes, so every day, Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday.
In the weekend they have repeats, but 4 to 5. And so yeah,
that's on KTN.
That's on KTN.
Right.
And this week we've been talking about sex.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Last week we were talking about drugs and substance abuse. And as Ken was saying, man, there's a huge need. I mean, kids are just saying, who can hear me out?
Right.
When we gave out a hotline for the drug abuse story, in less than a minute, all right, we had over 500 texts just coming in, not a T4, just saying help. And so kids are crying.
Do you want to give that hotline even on this show?
Yes, we can give the hotline.
Yes.
It's a very easy number, 0720 500,000, 0720 500,000. If no one picks, just SMS. Someone will get in touch with you. But the people are crying. So anyone watching this, man, you know what? The greatest mission field is the person next to you. And as Ken was saying, man, there's someone waiting for you to play your part, to be intentional. And you and I partnering and just doing one person, guess what, man? Kenya, Africa will be reached. Yes. And as I love to say, Africa for Jesus, man. One soul at a time. It don't be one soul at a time. When Jesus went to heaven, let me finish with this, man. When he go to heaven, there's a joke. Hey, everyone must be saved. No, I only left 12 disciples. And out of 12, here we are, billions of believers. And so in the same way, if we just intentional in mentoring, guess what?
We get there.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes,
excellent.
What the sensei finishes, man.
Well, as you also tell us the interventions that you're doing, and someone listening to this asking, how do I get in touch with you? How can you help my children? How do you help me? Even some parents wanting to talk to you, some kids wanting to talk to you. Please, share
I'll share just a number. You can reach me at 0723 977 111. If you reach out, we have different platforms where we are engaging our young people. So as you reach out, we'll find where they fit, then we'll be able to position them there and be able to help them.
Your Zoom sessions are still going on?
Yeah, my Zoom sessions are going on. I'm doing it for different people, different levels, so we will see where you fit in, we put you there, and just have a conversation on a daily basis and see how we can improve one another.
Look, man, this conversation cannot be over, man. We've got to keep this conversation going on online, and let's know what your thoughts are, and let's speak out. I mean, it's an issue we must all confront, and I can guarantee you we are all part of the solution. If we can talk, if we can speak, and as Njugush says, if we can all do our bits, then no doubt we can solve this problem, and we can see our children becoming the greatest and the bestest that we ever wanted to be. I'm so grateful, gentlemen. I am grateful for Kubamba. I mean, you guys are doing an amazing job.
It's
Jesus.
It's Jesus.
Keep doing the amazing job that you're doing, man. Raise your game.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for raising the game.
Thank you.
I suspect that's why even you're noticing that we are coming too low. Yeah. Because we've got to raise this game, man.
Yes, sir.
I mean, tune up for their shows on KTN and on
Burudani TV.
Burudani Television.
Yeah, and Kubamba Radio.
And Kubamba Radio as well.
Yes.
And also tune in for the Zoom calls that Raise Your Game is doing. And let's support each other because there is gold in our next generation. Until next time, I'm Dennis Njao coming to you from the Pete's Cafe. This has been the Goldmine. God bless you and keep nurturing the gold inside of you.